Okay guys, so I wanted to film a labor and delivery story. I'm just gonna start off by saying this, and it's a disclaimer, and I'm so sick of hearing these comments, but then there's also some of you who've had C-sections and get it. So, this is the disclaimer, and I don't want to hear anyone's bull saying, oh, you know, you should have had a vaginal birth and it's just you get so much better of a connection. I think that's bullshit. And me saying that is, yes, I did have a C-section, but I have a connection with my baby. It's like, how can you not, just because you had a C-section, you can't love your baby? It's bullshit. Anyways, no C-section shaming here. If you do, you're gonna get blocked and your comment's gonna get deleted. But anyways, so on the morning of, well, okay, let's just go back to my story. I'm gonna start the week of her C-section. She was scheduled on the 5th to have a C-section because she was breech. So she was frank breech, so there was really no way of her moving. There was, but she didn't move anyway. So he went ahead and checked her, and she still was breech the morning of my C-section. So she was born at 8:35 in the morning, so we had a C-section in the morning. I just figured that it'd be better that way in the morning. Sorry that she's grunting. She probably has getting some gas out or getting some poopy out. You just took a poopy, but they poop 100 times a day. So the morning of the C-section, me and my husband were absolutely nervous, of course, because A, I'm having a major surgery, and B, our baby's gonna be here. We were more excited about her being here, but we were very nervous about the actual procedure because we didn't know how it was gonna go down. So I get to the hospital, we check in, we stay in labor and delivery, they take some blood, and we just hang out, me, my mom, and Chuck. And I just wanted it that way because, well, my mom's my mom, and then Chuck is the dad, but, you know, or my husband too, just to let you guys know. Anyways, so what we did, I'm just trying to remember because I didn't really write this down, and I kind of do my videos kind of impromptu anyways. And then my doctor came in, he kind of checked around, made sure she was still breech. And she was, so that means she's butt down in my pelvic cavity, and the safest way for a breech baby to be born is C-section. I know a lot of people are still iffy about that. You can give a vaginal birth breech, but it could lead to complications because it is butt down. But yeah, I opted for what was safer for me and her, and that was the option. So we, you know, went over the procedure and what he was gonna do, and the anesthesiologist came in, who was like, I was an absolute nervous wreck and had such bad anxiety about the whole procedure. The anesthesiologist came in, and she was the most amazing anesthesiologist ever. I've never had a surgery before, so I really didn't know what I was getting into. But she came in, the most calm demeanor, like it was nothing that, you know, her best interest was me, which was awesome. Of course, the baby and stuff like that. So I was thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna need anxiety medication. Like, I can't handle this. But it's really different once the baby's out. Your brain is not in that mindset. But even before, okay, so she went over a lot of things with me, you know, what she's gonna give me and how it's gonna go down, and how I, you know, move around and stuff. So we get into the OR. Actually, before we go into the OR, which is operating room, before we get in there, I told her, I'm like, I'm already really nauseous, and I'm just like nauseous. And she goes, okay, let me give you Zofran. She goes, okay, so let me give you Zofran. And that's an anti-nausea medication. And, you know, I guess it helped. I really don't remember, because here's the next part. So we walk into the OR. My doctor's always joking around with me because he knows my Instagram. So him and the nurses were talking about my Instagram and trying to make it lighthearted, which was nice. My doctor is, he is like, he's different. He's not like a, you know, doctor and, you know, all, he jokes around. So anyways, we go into the OR and it's like at a Grey's Anatomy, you know what I mean? Like it's an OR, it's an operating room. Like you see all these lights and then there's all, it's nuts. So I'm like, oh God, okay. So I just kind of put my Zen mode on. I put my Zen mode on, and let me tell you, 2 or 3 years ago, I did not have a Zen mode. Like I didn't have one, but I started meditating, and I'll get into this in a different story. But so I put my Zen mode on. One of the nurses was so sweet. Actually, all the nurses were so sweet. They had to do a spinal block. So in C-sections, you can do an epidural or a spinal block, but my doctor likes to do spinal blocks because I guess it doesn't last as long as an epidural. Anyways, I wouldn't know because I never had an epidural. So we get into the OR, the anesthesiologist just kind of talks me through everything, and she does the spinal block, which didn't hurt because she did numbing before. The numbing kind of pinched, but it was whatever. And then the spinal block, you just didn't feel it because then she numbed my spinal column, I guess. So you bend forward and she does the spinal block, and then 2 seconds later, you can't move your legs. So 2 seconds later, you can't feel your legs, and then the nurses lift your legs up, they strap them down, full on like mental hospital, like out of the movies. Oh, she pooped again, I smell it. So they strap them down, and then you can't feel your legs. They put the screen up. The spinal block has morphine in it, so you get like this crazy head rush, and it almost feels like you can't see. This is my experience. Everybody reacts to medicine different. So I was like to the anesthesiologist, I was like, I can't see, like I can't see. And she's like, it's okay, I'll put some saline in there to dilute it and stuff like that. And then 2 seconds later, Chuck comes in the room. It felt like 2 seconds later. Chuck comes in the room, and he's the kind of guy that doesn't want to see anything. And I don't blame him. I don't want to see my guts out of my stomach. You know what I mean? So he kind of just like walks past, and I was so surprised. He was so like strong, because this is the guy that kind of, he's gonna kill me. He doesn't even like shots. Like it's that kind of guy. But like, I mean, he's a tough guy, but I don't know why he just doesn't like shots and stuff like that. He just like walks past, you know, the operating, he says that when he walked in, they were already cutting me open. So he walked past him, he had scrubs on, I had scrubs on, well, on my head, and then I was naked. But then literally 2 seconds later, the baby came out. Like, C-sections are so fast. Well, my doctor did it pretty fast. She came out, and he's like, oh, she's white. And I'm like, yeah, she's white. But I think he meant she had a lot of that like baby film on her. And she came out 7 pounds, 10 ounces. So she was, for my frame, I feel she was a little bit of a bigger baby. So my mom is the same kind of frame I am, and all her babies were like 6-pounders, and all my friends' babies were like 6-pounders, and my baby's almost 8 pounds. So anyways, so it kind of reassured me that she really didn't have room in there to flip around, because she was breech. She was born and screaming, and I was like, oh, she's screaming because she's not silent, because they say C-section babies have a lot of fluid in them, and sometimes they're like, they don't scream when they come out, but she was screaming, thank God. And then me and Chuck, it was just insane, because I was just starting to get really messed up on this morphine, and it's the only sad part about a C-section, and some people I don't think go through this. I have no idea. So she comes out, she's screaming. They weigh her, they put her on my chest, I'm kissing her. Some people don't put C-section baby, like when you're getting stitched up, some people don't put babies on the chest. But she did for a little bit, and then I started feeling the morphine. I don't think I ever had morphine before. So, anyways, so he stitched me up. I think the whole procedure took 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And they lock down your arms too, guys. So you're completely strapped to the table. This is what my doctor did. So you're completely strapped to the table, all that stuff. But like I said, I was in complete Zen mode. They were like, you want to listen to music? You want to do this? Like, you want to relax? And I'm like, full on relax. And I'm thinking it's the drugs probably. but I was still really nervous. But okay, so we get out of the OR, like they just wheel me right out after surgery, and they wheel me into a recovery room for 2 hours. And it sucks because I didn't really get to hang out with my baby. Like after we tried to breastfeed, but I was so messed up on these drugs for, I would say, for a good maybe 9-10 hours, even the next day. Like, so it's been 2 hours and I'm just sitting there like eyes closed, so messed up. I mean, I've never done drugs before, but I guess that's what it's like doing drugs. And it was sad. So then when we go to the recovery room, then they put me up in my suite, you know, the suite you stay in there for a couple days. So I went to my suite and it was upstairs, so we had to go up an elevator, and I was still in bed and I was like this, and it was so sad because I had a fan because I was so hot, and then your face gets so itchy from the morphine. So it was itching and scratching my face, and I had a handheld fan, which you need to bring because it was a lifesaver. So I'm going past these pregnant chicks that are just about to go in and give birth or have a C-section, and I'm like, it's not bad. I'm all messed up. I'm like, it's not bad. It's worth it. It's not bad. Because these girls are looking at me like, damn, she's messed up. Anyway, so I go up the elevator. We get in my room and they make me like roll over into the bed. And then I start throwing up. And the thing is, you don't eat anything for 12 hours before. So I was just dry heaving, which hurts so bad because you have stitches. I have dissolvable staples. Anyways. So yeah, I was dry heaving. It was horrible. They gave me a lot of nausea medication, which makes you even more messed up because it makes you just really tired. Anyways, so that was the first day. I did have visitors, but I was really upset that I did. I know that your family wants to see the baby and you and make sure everything's okay, but I just wanted it to be like my mom and dad and his mom and dad and sister and my siblings, you know what I mean? And I didn't want anyone to get offended. Of course, my aunts and uncles came too, but honestly, I wish I would have waited for like the 3rd day to do that because I was so upset. People were visiting to me till 9:30 at night, and I just had major surgery, like major surgery. That's the biggest surgery I'll ever have in my life. So a lot of moms are different, but this is how I felt. Is I didn't even get to hold my baby for 10 hours because I was so drugged up. I wish I would have waited on the visitor to the 3rd day. So the 2nd day came. So that night wasn't that bad that I had surgery, like pain-wise, because I was still drugged up from all that medication. But the 2nd day came and I said, no visitors. I want to be by myself with my baby and Chuck. No visitors. I mean, I don't even see my friends in the hospital when they give birth because I want to give them space. So, I mean, I really do truly feel bad, but the nurses were like, don't feel bad. I don't blame you. People don't understand that you just had surgery, or, you know, even people who give vaginal birth, they just don't understand what you just went through. They just think of the baby and all that. So I totally understand wanting to see the baby. Anyway, so 2nd day, no visitors at all. My mom didn't come, his mom didn't come. Literally, it was like nothing, just me and him. And oh my God, you guys, I suggest doing that. It was amazing. Since that night rolled around, the 2nd night, I was in a lot of pain. I was in a lot of pain. I was like, to the nurse, I was like, oh my God. And my nurse was amazing. She had 2 C-sections, so she was like, I know exactly how you feel. She's like, take a Percocet. Take a Percocet. And I go, oh my God, I'm so scared. I don't want to get messed up like I did with the morphine. She goes, it's just not like that. You know, the morphine goes straight into your body, and the Percocet kind of just does it over time. We'll give you the lowest dose. So I take a Percocet at night, and me and Chuck watch like a really lighthearted movie, like a Disney movie. And I didn't feel like really messed up. Like I didn't. It just took away most of my pain. So I was on Percocet and Motrin. Also, what else? Yeah, so and then the 3rd day rolled around. I got to go home. A lot of people stay 3 days or 3 nights in the hospital. I only stayed 2 nights, and I got to go home, which was amazing. Also, I got my vaccines, because remember I was not vaccinated. For some reason my vaccines when I was little never took. So I got my MMR, I got my flu shot. So I mean, it was an amazing experience because I have my baby now. But let me tell you about the aftermath, guys. The aftermath was worse than the surgery. Okay, so the recovery for the C-section was hard. And I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard. So day I go home, I take a shower at the hospital. So they have like a sit down shower. And I sat down and I walked to the shower. Chuck had the baby in like one of the medical bassinets that can roll. And he kind of helped me shower, and I had to take off my own bandages in the shower. I was like so nauseous. I was so, cause I didn't even look at my incision till like now. And it's 10 days later. Cause I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to look at it. It scared me. So anyways, Chuck helps me shower. I take off my bandages. He looks at it. He says it's fine. It's not that big, whatever. I get dressed, and like, even when you have vaginal birth, your abdominal muscles are really weak. So like you want to like go back, like you're like a newborn baby, like you want to go backwards and stuff like that. So you just got to make sure that you're not holding your baby, and it's very sad. Maybe some women can hold their babies. I couldn't. I didn't trust myself. In bed and sitting down, I could hold my baby, but standing up, I just didn't trust myself for like the 4th day. He was changing her diapers up to like the 5th day because I didn't trust myself holding her to go to the diaper, station or whatever we had, the basin or the changing table. That's the word I'm looking for. I just didn't trust myself walking over there. And in the middle of the night when she's crying, when she needs to get fed, he would pick her up out of my bassinet right next to me because I couldn't turn around, and it still hurts. It feels like a sunburn. The internal incision, because they make a small slit and then they go up and make a huge slit in your stomach because that's how they get her out. Anyways, so Chuck, he's been the most amazing man because, listen, C-sections, you think you can take care of yourself, go to the bathroom by yourself, maybe shower by yourself? Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Some women can do it. Maybe my second C-section, if I do have another C-section, I could do it. But this one, I was in a lot of pain. I was really stiff. I couldn't do it. Chuck had to walk me to the bathroom. I was just like old lady. I was so wobbly. I would say that was for the good 4 or 5 days. So it wasn't too bad. He had to change my pads for me, like my menstrual pads, because even if you have a C-section, you do bleed. Some people said, oh, I didn't bleed, but I bled and I'm still bleeding, and it's 10 days later. You don't bleed a lot. I mean, the first time you do go to the bathroom when they take the catheter out, which didn't hurt. I thought it was gonna hurt. It didn't hurt. You do have a little bit of clotting when you go pee for the first time, and they measure your clotting and your pee, and you don't realize you have to pee until like, let's say you start getting in a lot of pain. You're like, oh my gosh, like my incision hurts, and the nurse is like, did you pee? And you're like, oh no, I didn't pee. She's like, you're not gonna feel like you have to pee because you had the catheter in. I'm like, oh. Anyway, so you go pee, and you go pee for like 10 minutes because there's so much pee in your bladder. Anyways, so that's that. He changed all my pads. I wore a pad over my incision too, so the inside of my underwear, I wore a pad as well, so I wouldn't rub on my incision. I did that for a good 5 days, 6 days, for a good week. And then I slowly started gaining my muscle memory back, and I still don't have it 100%, of course. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so he was like changing my menstrual pads for me. You just kind of feel helpless, and then you're just like crying because you're like, I can't take care of my baby. And it wasn't that I wasn't able to take care of her because I was breastfeeding and everything. It's just like getting up and doing things around the house, and I literally just started doing that, and it's like 10 days later. So give yourself a break. Some women can do it within 3 days. Some people take 2 months. Some people take 10 days, like I did, really. But don't push it, because the next day I was in pain. I was hurting. I'm still in pain. I still take Motrin, and really that is my C-section story. It really wasn't that bad. And of course, if I were to do it again, of course I would do it again, because I have my little doll with me. She's precious. She really is. Go on my Instagram. There's some pictures of her. Right now she's been very fussy, as you could tell. Her grunting the whole video. If it's annoying, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Well, if you're a mom, you're probably, or going to be a mom, you're watching this and maybe it won't bother you. But Miss Grunter over here sounds like a little goat. Anyway, so there's my C-section story. I'm sure I left out a bunch, maybe, because it really lasted 2 weeks. Just give yourself some slack, because I was really hard on myself the first couple of days, thinking that I could, just spring back. And because you read online, don't even listen to me, because everyone's different. It wasn't bad at all. I just got my incision checked and I'm fine. Knock on wood. Hopefully it stays that way. There is the end of the video. Like I said, write in the comments if you have any questions, and until next time, I will see you guys later.